Hello, 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 everyone. Please let me know if you can hear me when you come in here. I'm going to test the audio out myself as well. Hello, 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 everyone. Okay, think it's good on my end. Welcome in, everyone. I'm going to wait for some of you guys to get in here. It is another psychic investigation. Today, the energy has led to Mrs. Erika Kirk. You're the newest contestant. Welcome in, Sister Gal. Gal, do me a favor. Can you hear me okay? Hi, Sister Sonia. Miss you so much. I miss you guys. Can you hear me okay, guys? Okay, we are about to get into this. You can hear me? Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right, we're gonna wait for some of you guys to get in here. I'm gonna lay down the ground rules here, and then we're gonna start our psychic investigation with Erika Kirk, or I like to call her Erika Curry, because that's what's been popping up in the energy field. So it appears that Spirit has given her a new name, and we're gonna go into that. I'm gonna wait for some of you guys to come on in here. I do want to say, guys, go ahead, please, when you come in, please like the video. And more than 50% of you guys who watch this channel on a regular basis is not subscribed. I put my heart, my soul, my passion into bringing you guys these messages. Please subscribe to the channel, because this is what you're getting on this channel. My entire body is a channel for Source Energy God, the Most High, the Divine, right? The energy that is, that will always be. Therefore, there is no beginning and no end. And you know, if you respect the work, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, put a like on the video. I'm going to lay down some ground rules. I'm getting locked jaw right now, so I think this is part of the message already coming in. I think Erica's energy is coming in hot. Okay. I'm going to lay down some ground rules, but I want to stay open to the impressions as my body is a channel. Before I actually pressed live here, I got some impressions in my lower left abdomen, and now I'm getting impressions here, energetic impressions here in the jaw area, right? So this could have something to do with Erica's energy. So I'm going to go ahead and start, I guess, channeling some messages while you guys are coming in here. Another psychic investigation with the Charlie Kirk situation, but now the energy today has led us to Erika Kirk, and sources saying Erika Curry. Okay, so let me take some notes here. Impressions, lower left abdomen and jaw. I already know what that is about. I already know what the jaw is about. Source ain't never lied, girl. Source ain't never lied. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. Okay. All right, all right, all right. Okay. When a few more of you guys come in, I know I'm coming in at a time where people maybe are getting off of work or still in transit and all of that. So give me just 1 minute and we're going to get this show on the road. I will be right back. Give me just 1 minute, guys. Thank you. All right, guys. Oh, it's about to be one of them days. I can see it. I can feel it already. Something, hold on. Something's going on. Okay. Knocking over stuff. Okay. All right. All right, guys. You can still hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. All right. We're about to get started. Love wins all. Welcome in. I'm going to test my audio. I can feel it already. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. 1 second. Okay. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Energetic disturbances, lots of those going on. So this is nothing more than Erica Curry's energy. Guys, Source has me calling her Erica Curry, and I think, I started channeling this days ago. So here's the thing, guys. We're about to dive into this, Erika Kirk Deceives America. This is another psychic investigation. The Charlie Kirk investigation is still going on. I'm going to kind of go through my findings because I think some people are confused, right, about everything. So, the psychic investigation is much like a regular investigation. When you do a regular investigation, you check into different motives, you check into different people. Where were they? Where are their whereabouts? What part did they have to play? Well, straight away, the energy led me into big picture, right? It led me straight to, from Charlie, into Candace Owens' energy. You guys can watch all the other videos, guys. What I do here on this channel is unlike anyone else. What I do as a psychic investigator, as a quantum telepathic supernatural healer, is I essentially open up pockets of energy. So as we've been doing this examination with Charlie Kirk, all I've been doing is going into the where the energy leads me to, and I've been expanding that. And within the expansion of these energy centers, we've been able to pop into some major templates. So guys, you're not you, and none of these people are who they say they are. We are little souls popped into these different avatars to play out our soul contract in these archetypal figures, and so Charlie Kirk is Charlie Kirk and Erika Kirk is playing this archetypal figure of Erika Kirk. Now here's the thing, guys. There's some deception within her energy field. And in fact, it took me a long time to get here, to circle back to her energy. But the energy today really supports me coming full circle into Erika Kirk, or Erika Curry, as Source would like to say. One thing I want to point out to you guys, and I think that a lot of people miss this, and believe it or not, it has nothing to do with any of the videos that we've seen, right? This is what I call source codes. This is what I call contracts, soul contracts. I'm going to even show you. I'm going to show you how we know that these two have a soul contract together. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to share here. And so you guys can see this here. Guys, please subscribe to the channel and like the video when you come in. Let me share something to you guys really quickly. And I think you're going to find this to be very interesting. Okay? Let me see. Here's the thing. I want to point something out to you guys. I want you to look at her name, Erika Kirk. Erika Kirk. I think her last name was Francis or France. It was some France. It was some name like that that was kind of odd and obscure. Starts with an F, right? Well, she became Erika Kirk. Well, she was always going to become a Kirk because it's in her name. This is what we call source codes, right? We ride in here on people's frequency, on people's vibration, right? She rode in. So Erika Francine or France, whatever her last name was before, this Erika rode in on Charlie Kirk's frequency. How does she do that? Well, if you look at her name, she's holding the vibration of Kirk within her name. So at some point, she was always going to come head to head with this energy. She was always going to meet this energy, right? So if you look at her name, Erika, and you notice Kirk, Erika has a K in her name. Okay, the next letter in Kirk is I. She has an I in her name. The next letter is R. She has an R in her name. And then K. She has a K in her name, right? But she also has an E, right? and Kirk doesn't have an E. So already on an energetic level, it tells me that Erika consumes Kirk. Okay. So she has Kirk in her, but she also has something else in her as well. So already I can tell you that Miss Erika Kirk was always going to be bigger than her husband, late husband, so to speak, Charlie Kirk, because her name actually supports that energetically, right? So that's just kind of a fun fact on how you guys can start to break down the source codes. Now, something very interesting that source has been bringing to my attention. Every time I want to say Erika Kirk, I can't. And source calls her Erika Curry. Erika Curry. Well, I went looking for the meaning of curry because I'm like, what is this curry, right? Well, and it's really interesting that I couldn't find anything because it kept bringing me to curry, the dish, the different curries you can make, right? But I found the slang meaning for curry, and it's very, very interesting. So, the slang meaning for curry, it says this: to praise someone, especially someone in authority, in a way that is not sincere, in order to get some advantage for yourself. Very important. So, the slang meaning of curry is literally is to praise someone, especially someone in authority, not in a sincere way at all, but in order to for you to have the advantage for yourself. So with when we look at her name, she was always going to consume Kirk. She was always going to do that. Energetically, she was in alignment to consume him. But what did she do based on Erika Curry? She lined up with Charlie Kirk. You guys know the backstory. I think there's some videos out where they met and essentially, the whole thing was okay. She met him for a job. I'm not going to hire you. I'm going to date you. Right. So it was always that's what we call in television, right, or movie, a meet cute. It was a meeting point how these two characters or soul archetypes came into each other's energy field, right? So already right there, we have the consumption of this energy, this Erika energy moving in to consume, right? And it's interesting because you consume curry is a dish you consume, but the whole thing is that there is deception because source is attaching curry to her name, and so it is not sincere. So what we're really looking at is the beginnings of their relationship was not sincere. She was put in place to align herself with someone in authority, such as Charlie Kirk, in a way that is not sincere in order to get some advantage. So this is the first thing that we must all know about Erika Kirk. This is a energetic reading, and we also brought in some source codes, right? So there was deception from day one, not just this situation with the, so to speak, passing of Charlie Kirk. Now, it's very interesting, guys, because, you know, I never really watched the videos, right? But I should have, but I just never, I literally don't like to do that because it's like, I just want to get my messages. But no, I'm telling you, when I watched a few things, the first thing I said when I watched that first initial video that she did in his office, in my spirit, I said, that's AI. Something did not seem authentic about it, right? And so everyone's like, look, she had to have done this because she's not, shedding any tears. She doesn't sound, heartbroken. It could be an AI video. Like energetically, there was something in my spirit that said that that was AI, you know? Now, is it possible that she needed to use AI because she was heartbroken? Yeah, possibly. But the thing is, we did not see her heartbroken after that. She still had crocodile tears at the, so to speak, memorial where she gave Trump the weird half hug, half kiss, half, cuddle, sort of thing happening, which was strange within itself. Okay. So there's a lot of deception surrounding her. And I want to find out today just how deceptive has Erica Curry been to America, because she was never a Kirk energetically. Erica was never, and this is energetically, I'm a conscious channeler. What that means is I don't go into trance to channel. I can channel right here from my conscious mind. I like to call it conversational channeling. Source is saying right now in this moment, she was never a Kirk. She was never energetically as a wife. She was never energetically a wife. And what Source is making reference to is she was never energetically a wife that looked up to her husband, that played a feminine role. So now we're kind of diving into the everyday dynamics within the household. This was not a situation where, and it's interesting, there was a lot of feminists, even though Erica says that, she was on board with all the stuff that Charlie was saying. Right now in this moment, she portrayed a lot of feminist sort of traits and qualities about her within the dynamics within the relationship. She was, she was the leader of the household, right? So it's quite the opposite on what maybe they say. She's absolutely in a sort of feminist sort of energy, right? And she causes a lot of fires in the house as well. Um, so she causes a lot of, I don't want to say they're not arguments, they're like interesting, precarious things that she brings up because she wants Charlie to start thinking. I'm channeling all of this now. So, because she knows how mental Charlie is. So she gives him these precarious sort of riddles in a way where she'll start to speak almost in a rhythm. She must have studied mind control as well, channeling all of this. She had a way of speaking to him in some sort of rhythmic pattern, which could almost mimic, like, if you wanted to do some sort of like hypnosis state on someone. So I think she was trained to do that. I do. I think she had deep training in the deep state. It's coming through now. Um, in order to do that. And she would give Charlie these riddles in the way she would speak. Part of the riddle is in the words, but part of the riddle was in the rhythm in which she spoke and the inflections. And it's very interesting that when we watch back, maybe I will play a video. I don't know if we'll get to it in this video, but when we watch back some of her initial videos, especially the first one, when she was in his office and she was speaking in a rhythmic pattern where she would repeat some of the words, right? Now, with my background in film and television and acting, you can often do this when you want to accentuate a certain emotion to the audience. But, the way she was doing it, it did not feel authentic. It just felt like all over it was, of course, bad acting. And I said, somebody really be this bad of an actor? Maybe it has to be AI, right? But nevertheless, I want to stay on focus. See, they want me to lose focus. I want to stay right here, Erica. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I'm tapped right into where I need to be right now. Okay. I'm going to stay right here. She was trained within the deep state. She was trained in mind control combat. Okay. And with this little charity that she had, guys, remember she had some sort of organization that people were saying that she had. Thank you so much, Sister Gail, for the super chat. I do appreciate it. Some sort of organization she had with the in Romania. This is where she got the training to do that. Okay. It's all coming through. Now, mind you, I've just been watching little things here and there. I've not deep dived into her at all for this reason. I want this to just be just a raw reading. She was trained in whatever that is to speak to people a certain way to get what she wants. And they knew that they could train her because she had the gaze of people, not just of men, but of women, because she was a very universally beautiful person, right? And so you tend to believe and not question people that are universally, symmetrical and, in the face and beautiful, right? And that's also too why she was chosen, right? There's something about, okay, there's something about the symmetry of her face as well. Okay, sorry guys. There's something about the symmetry of her face. It doesn't look as symmetrical anymore, but this is why she was chosen too, because they knew that they could, with a little bit of tools and tricks that they could give her, that they can get her to be an advocate, right? I'm hearing that Erika was an advocate for the deep state. And so an advocate, we may look at that as a positive thing. So they would put her into these positions to advocate for certain things, organizations and charities. However, all of what they were advocating for was being streamlined back into the deep state. And I'm hearing the deep state consciousness, right? So she feels as if she's what we call this bait. Like when you throw something out on like a fishing rod, right? Erika Kirk, if I was talking about someone in the industry, I would say they're industry bait. But she's like deep state bait. That's what they used her for. She had the something with the symmetrical or symmetry in the face, and then also too she was universally beautiful as well. And they gave her a little. They trained her in some sort of mind control combat, right, where she could use all of these different things that she had about her, and she would use that to pull in energy or consciousness, just to pull people in to deep state agendas. So make no mistake about it, guys. What we are experiencing with the Charlie Kirk situation is a deep state agenda. This is all coming through now. And now I see why I had to wait to tap into Erika, right? We are not, even though it appears to be far right. Here's the trick. That's why they had to give Tyler the script, the so to speak 22-year-old shooter, which we know is not the shooter. They had to give him the script of being, a Republican and having his father be a Republican and a Trump supporter, because they were trying to point you to throw you off that this is the right. But no, guys, this is leading back to the deep state is neither right or left. The deep state can encompass different secret societies. So as we know that Trump is the Scottish Rites, right? He's in that organization, and then we have other people in different Illuminati subgroups, but all of it works as a one consciousness to control the energy field here on the earth. And this is what Miss Erika Curry is used for, and she's been doing this ever since she was chosen. I'm hearing around the age of 14. She was chosen. I'm not sure if she was modeling then or acting or whatever she was doing, but around the age of 14, she was chosen for this purpose. She was always going to serve this purpose. She was never a doting wife or mother, is what I am hearing. I don't know if she never wanted to be a mother, but sources saying and mother. And I'm not sure because I've never seen those children as well. But that's we're going to stay into the groove. That's kind of a sidebar too, like where are the children? Like, why can't we see any of their faces ever? That's another interesting thing as well. And it appears that this marriage may have been a sham. I'm not even sure if this was a real marriage, to be honest with you. Maybe real on paper, but not real in the heart. It wasn't, not in the heart. It's probably a mental thing. This thing was set up and put together and orchestrated from day one. And I think Erika Curry always knew who she was going to marry. I think she got the script long before all of this started to happen and unravel. And she was just waiting for the day of the meeting. It's what I'm getting. It's what I'm truly, truly getting. Okay. One second. This definitely has something to do with our financial centers, markets and centers, but this has something to do with our financial centers within the body. Remember a few videos back, I was talking about them going into a new financial system and draining every bit of energy of what we have left. That shows up in her reading today. She's part of that, right? Of this deep state consciousness. And I'm getting heavily our financial centers within the body, which of course would be like our heart, right? So she was put on to this world stage to assist with this energy shift. So almost like given like, it's like, when people say the greatest lie ever told, that's coming up. This was definitely all a lie, all a lie, a lie, a lie, a lie, a lie. And I think where source is giving us a key code, how I'm saying that. Hold on. A lie. Hold on. There's a key code coming through. One second. Okay, is either a lie or Eli. Mm, okay. I'm gonna put that in my back pocket. Something is about to take us higher. I can tell you that. Something wants to push us into a larger template, but let me stay right here. So we're getting Erika's energy, right? She was always going to be used to finish the siphon from our energy centers in our body because we're a new financial system is coming online. So Erica was put into place to pull at the hearts of man. And I think if we look back at when this first happened, we were all kind of, oh man, this sucks. She's a wife and a mother and all of this. And she did pull at the heartstrings and she was believable, not because she had tears, no, because these people understand what people respond to because of the symmetry of her face, because she's universally beautiful, right? And because of the situation that we put this poor, widowed mother into, this chaotic, situation where now she has to triumph, right? And she becomes almost the underdog. How do I triumph and kind of lead this company, Turning Point USA, right? And so, but when we remove the story that they gave us, when we remove all of that and we just strip it down and we look at her, the video was given AI. That first video may not have been real. Energetically, I get a strong AI vibe. And remember what I told you guys that source said that the vice president, Vance, bought part of that company. I don't know if he bought all of it. He may have not bought it. It's given acquired. So whatever happened with now Charlie kind of out of the way, and we need to get to that because it's a little convoluted, right? But the Vance, make no mistake about it, is either in control of Turning Point USA or has a very large say on what, and this is the latter, has a very large say in what Turning Point USA gets involved in. And so, what we are witnessing, guys, is an organization that is going to be used to, remember when the January 6th thing happened and people stormed the White House and Trump was like, fight, fight, fight. This is the energy that I get. So that this company is going to be producing children like that, is what I'm hearing. And you guys will know. So I had all these videos lined up, but no, we got to stay right here with Source, right here with Source. And maybe the next video we'll get to the TikToks. But listen, there's been a rise of these young white kind of Charlie Kirk copycats. in their mind, Charlie Kirk is a Christian and Charlie Kirk was trying to do the right thing in these young, men's minds, right? There has been a rise of young white men. They were going to Tennessee State University, the historically black college, wanting to debate. Mind you, that college was targeted, and university rather was targeted, and it was shut down for 5 days because they were getting death threats there sent to the school. So the moment the school opens up, then you have these two young men pop up on the campus without a permit. And Charlie always had his permits. These were set up events where you have to actually get permits. Even when in film and television, we can't just show up and shoot anywhere. You have to have permits. They have to be approved, right? So these were just people popping up, people who support Charlie and they want to carry out what Charlie is doing. So they popped up at the university, right? Then they popped up a few days ago at a black church hall and all of these things. And what I want to tell these young men is that that's exactly what they want. Remember, I said they don't have to get, Charlie doesn't have to, Charlie has already done what they needed him to do. Because remember, the goal of the deep state consciousness, right, the ones that are running everything, is to keep us divided. So they have to produce. Why just have one Charlie when we can create an elaborate story, and we can produce multiple Charlies. And now we can have hot spots of fires all over the country or the world, even. And remember what I said, Erika, she had a way of inciting within her household and within the mind of Charlie. So, what we're looking at when we zone out, like we're looking into the mind of the collective Charlie, right? So, what I want to say to these young white men is don't take the bait, because you got to remember Charlie Kirk's organization, I think, is worth $500 million, something like that, maybe up to $500 million. He has money for protection, for security, for all of these things behind him. These people that they're creating, they want to get little pockets of Charlies out there. They're unprotected. They don't have millions of dollars behind them. They're brainwashed. They think they're doing the right thing. They're going to pop up on the wrong place, and you know what could happen. So it's not advisable for anyone right now to be going to colleges, going to any place, debating people. It's too hot. We call this, the block is hot. It's too hot. Do not do that. Don't do that. You do not have the money that Charlie Kirk had to put, protection in place. So I do want to say that because I feel like y'all, that's what they want. They want to get people racist again. Like what can I say? Like, I'm not to say that racism, of course, ever really left, but they want more of it because slowly but surely we were coming together. Slowly but surely, we were actually, trying to rise above this thing. But that's one of the matrix tools, guys, that they use. They got to keep us divided so that they can go in and siphon and steal our energy. So that's a sidebar, but I think it was important for Source wanted us to know that, right? Because there could be young kids could be out there getting hurt because of this mess, and we don't need that to happen because this was a staged event. This was staged. When I say this fake event, whether Charlie was in it or not, I'm kind of leaning towards not, simply because of what everything of the psychic investigation, you know? But here's the thing, the whole thing was staged because Erika was in on it. I already know. There's nothing, I don't even need to go through any of videos. Erika's energy was always in on it. Since the age of 14, she was already in contract with this deep state. She was always going to meet him. It was in her source codes to do so. And she was always going to consume him. Always. That's what I see within her energy field. And here's the thing. Ooh, I'm also getting Whore of Babylon as well. I'm not calling her a whore. This is just what comes up in the energy field, right? So here's the thing. They want to get me off. They want to get me off. Hold on. They want to get me off. I'm about to pull some codes here. Some very, very important codes is coming through. I want to Okay, let me say this really quickly. So the stage, when I say it's staged, it was staged. Erika knew what was happening. The security teams knew what was happening. Trump knew what was happening. Because remember, Trump is the one, he said he needed more time to work on whatever financial system that they need to put into place. Charlie was disrupting that. Now, whether he was hired to disrupt it, these things are still out. But big picture, it was a staged event. Now, whether Charlie was in on it or not, that part is inconclusive as of now. But big picture, Charlie Kirk's consciousness is still living. Now, could Charlie Kirk consciousness be in his body still? Sovereign? Yes. Could it be in his body still and being in bondage? Yes, because he didn't play his role, right? Yes. Or could his consciousness be on its way into another avatar? Yes. Any one of those things are possible, but big picture is Charlie Kirk will appear in the future, whether it's, willfully or non-willfully. This part is undetermined, but when we look at the entire situation, it was a staged event. It was a staged event to siphon and harness energy, heart energy, for whatever the reset is. This is why the government shut down. This is why in the last few videos, Trump was saying he needs more time, and Charlie was causing a massive disruption when he started to go heavily after Israel. It wasn't time to necessarily go full in yet, but now we're here, right? And Erika Curry was a big part in orchestrating this field that we find ourselves in. It's a final siphon because remember, we're in a holy harvest season. And so the siphon energy and the tricks that they play have to be that much larger. And that's why we have such an event. This was truly a 9/11 event. Not to say it was comparable to 9/11, but it happened on 9/10. So energetically, it's still within, that vibrational space, right? And so subconsciously, that's what they did it for. Thank you, Source. Source is saying subconsciously, this is why they did it on that day, because it would align to the traumas that we still have subconsciously from 9/11. And so now they can combine the two energies together for more of a grand harvest, right? So I do want to say that there's some major codes that Source is putting together. I want to play you guys something. Now, this may seem like I'm skipping all over the place, but this is a raw channel. So the psychic investigation could expand multiple different videos, and that's okay. But there's something very important that we need to look at really quickly. And I'm going to share this.
Asking about the Erika Kirk music video with Tyler. So here it is.
Did you guys see the date 9/10? Tyler and Erika.
Now I know there's a lot of conspiracies around this video. A lot of people are saying things. In all honesty, I don't know what to say. I was surprised to see that. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments.
Do you see the date? Look, 9/10. Same date that Charlie was, so to speak, shot. And she's in a video. Now, mind you, this is not the Tyler Robinson kid, but it's interesting that she's in a music video with somebody named Tyler. And it has 910. Now, I don't know if when this video was shot, and you can take that video with, grain of salt if you want to, because I don't know how authentic that is, but that's popping up on TikTok a lot. So it just goes to show you this was already in a energetic alignment, right? 1 second. Now, you guys, I want to point something out. Just assume right now I'm showing you guys a bunch of different evidence in the investigation, right? We're gonna crescendo this thing at some point, right? But it's a lot is building. I think we're going into some biblical templates as well with the whole Eli thing, but I'm gonna hold off on that. It's very interesting. There's a lot of X's showing up in Mrs. Curry's energy field. And I remember going back to the initial, automatic drawing that I did of Charlie. And remember here, this is his neck here. That's his back. He's kind of slumped over, sitting on his bum. There's an X here. These are his legs, and his legs were what? In bondage. His neck. This was literally the energy of the field that he was in, but also to the day of that incident. And I'm calling it an incident because there's still a lot to unpack, right? So I always got back of the neck. Energetically, I always saw something back of the neck. Now, could it be something went, something, it wasn't a gun, but there was something that went into the neck and came out of the back, and the energy is just in the back of the neck is showing me, like for me to look there? Yes, but it could also be something much larger when we zone out into the collective. When you have a slave, what do you put around their neck? You put the shackles around their neck. You ever seen those movies where they have the shackles around the neck and the hands kind of caged here and the feet shackled together and all of that? If you look back at some of the other videos on a collective scale, this is what they're doing to us. So Charlie is a representation of what they're doing to us, and we're being targeted here within the throat, not to speak, right? And I was getting impressions in my jaw as well. This is directly Erika Curry's or Erika Kirk's energy. So we're getting the same energy, not to speak. So here within the neck area, we're getting enslaved energy. We're getting cut off head, mental, cut off from body. Remember, within the Jacob and Esau template that we explored, with Charlie being more of the Esau, being more of the mental body, and that represents the white race, and the black race being more of the emotional body. Without the head is more of the emotional body, just kind of running around like, very emotional, like a chicken with the head cut off. Remember, Jacob and Esau are supposed to be one consciousness. And Candace Owens is Rebecca from the Bible. So I need to say that all of this is coming back. So now we're bringing Erika into it. So here's the thing. When I sat down here and I started getting locked jaw, that's the energy of something not wanting me to speak. So now we got cut off in the throat. We got, remember, I was channeling esophagus, wanting to cut off our collective esophagus, wanting to cut off the ability to speak truth. And then also, you remember those cringy videos. Now, here's the thing. I know this is Erika's energy. We're about to crescendo this thing, y'all. Hold on. There's a lot of codes happening. In these videos, that first video, which to me, it gives the energy of AI. Now, whether it was AI or not, energetically, it was a stiff person that was not embodied. You could say she's not embodied because she just lost her husband, quite possibly, but there was no emotional spark, emotional charge, right? I read energy. There wasn't any emotional charge in there. It was a caricature of what a wife in mourning should be, but not what it actually is. I never got that. Something's very interesting. As Source gives me impressions within my jaw, it reminds me of this video. I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to share it with you. 1 second. One Momento. Okay.
Heroically.
Okay. Look at her jaw.
Heroically. Heroically. My husband's chief of staff, the
Smile.
amazing Mikey McCoy.
You see this?
I want to thank the staffers of this
You see the smile?
amazing Charlie Kirk show.
The jaw is clenching, isn't it?
He loved what he did.
Look at the
My husband's
clenching in the
chief of
jaw.
staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy. I want to thank the staffers of this his amazing Charlie Kirk show.
Mm. Did you see that? Did you see the clench in the jaw of the amazing Charlie Kirk show? And then she does this. I can tell she's clenching. This is the same impression that I got when I talk about impressions. I receive impressions in my body. So I can feel like where, whose energy is coming. So that I know that is Erika Kirk's energy. So we're going to crescendo this thing. We're going to build. So watch out for the clenching in the jaw, and the fake kind of smile is to control the energies, to control the entity from within. There's an entity as well, which is sources bringing up in this moment. Be very interesting to see if this is the same collective entity. Which guys, I'm not even want to say that yet. But it's about to get big. It's about to get big. Watch out for the clenching, guys. Watch.
Husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy. I want to thank the staffers of
Right here.
his amazing Charlie Kirk show.
Right here.
He loved what he did across America and worldwide. Mr. President, my husband loved you, and he knew that you loved him too.
You see the clenching? More clenching. Okay, that's very important, guys. The clenching. That's the same impression that when I sat down here and I said something's trying to distract me, that's the same clenching that I got in my jaws. This is, in fact, Erika Curry's or Kirk's energy. 100%. Her energy is here and wanting to control what it is that we talk about here today. Okay. Now, do you guys remember a video where someone was talking about a witch? I think it was Megan Kelly talking about that there was some organization or some person who put a spell on Charlie. I think this is important. Let me see if I can find that because I had an experience um with a dream that did involve a witch kind of sticking someone in the neck. So I think there was some witchcraft as well. And I'm not saying that it's coming from Erika, but I find it very interesting that that came up. And, you know, I also, I also had an incident with that. So let me see if I can find that video. One second. Alrighty. So let's see if this is it. Okay. This is Megan Kelly.
In this world, calling up the spirit world, in particular the devil's spirit world, can actually have real world consequences. It's not something to mess with. Many Christians believe this. This is dangerous. It's not a game. It's literally evil. What? So there you have it. It's the Etsy witches. The Etsy witches. I actually should probably call one. I should call an Etsy witch and see.
Okay, this is not okay. Let me see if I can find. So essentially, okay, there's some witch on Etsy or whatever the website saying that she was putting a curse on Charlie Kirk. And Megan Kelly was talking about this could be the reason why he passed away. I wish I could find the initial video that I saw. Um Goodness. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think I found it. Hold on. Something about a hex, right? A hex. Let's see. Mm, Not sure if it works. What? Nope, that's not it. Okay. Anyways, guys, so Megan Kelly had this video, and there was some witch.
2 weeks before Charlie Kirk was assassinated, the far left website Jezebel declared that it had a mission 2 weeks before Charlie Kirk was assassinated.
Here it is.
The far left website Jezebel declared that it had a mission to cast bad luck or a curse on Charlie. They declared, quote, if the far-right misogynist with a bad haircut wants to villainize independent women, Jezebel is more than happy to be the hag of his nightmares. And they went on to the website Etsy, yes, Etsy, to, quote, cast a curse on him. Yes, this is actually a thing. Etsy, the website known for making arts and crafts, command, will happily cast a hex through its witches, who you can hire, on someone if you ask them to. The Jezebel crew was delighted to discover, quote, it's not uncommon for the so-called witches on Etsy to channel their energy toward thwarting Republicans. There's even a subreddit devoted to casting nightly hexes on Trump. Jezebel decided Charlie Kirk, who they repeatedly described as far right, the founder of the right-wing conspiracy theory factory, Turning Point USA, is, quote, more irritating than most, and asked its audience if they were, quote, interested in punishing Kirk for years of regressive rhetoric with a curse, with a hex on him. The article notably does not list the name of any particular author, but simply uses its company name as the byline. So we don't know exactly which writer or staffer at Jezebel, which has long been a disgusting publication, came up with the idea. It was, in fact, the brainchild of one writer, however, because it is written in the first person, a female.
Okay, so you guys saw that. There was some, some Epsy witch apparently that was casting nightly spells on, not only Trump, but Charlie as well. Now, here's the weird thing, guys. This is where the source codes, this is what makes me a supernatural healer. This is the crazy thing. So, I went to bed with the anticipation because I receive a lot of my prophecies in my dream state. I went to bed with the anticipation of receiving some source codes during this investigation. However, I slept like a baby. I didn't dream at all, or at least I didn't remember. But I met my sister in the morning and she said, I had the strangest dream. And I said, really, what was the dream? She said, well, like you were like chasing someone down, because she knows the work that I do. You were literally, chasing someone down, right? In the spirit realm. And so you went through like some sort of like closet. You went into through a closet, and then you just like, you were just so like, I don't know, you just went and you just went through the closet, through the wall, and I couldn't find you, right? And I was like, where's my sister? And so she says when she was like following behind me, when she got to the closet, she saw a lady there. And the lady had basically some white paint on her face. So almost like, white, like this white. Like you would put like a ghost white, right? Like Halloween white. And she said that she was asking, where's my sister? Where's my sister? Because I was like, I guess I was so like, whatever I was chasing, I just went right past this woman and I just, just started doing whatever it is that I needed to do. So my sister was kind of met with this lady and confronted her. And she said that the lady all of a sudden turned evil, like almost like she looked like a witch. And then all of a sudden, now this is the strangest thing. She says, all of a sudden, she grabs some man, like kind of like a man comes into the field of awareness. And she takes like I think it was her, if I can remember right, one of her nails. I don't know, I think it was the pinky nail, one of the nails, and the nail grew into something pointy and stuck the guy in the neck. And I think she said back of the neck. I'm not sure because that's been a few videos back. But nevertheless, she stuck some man in the neck. So it was a witch that my sister saw in the dream state, and it did stick a man in the neck, which I presume to be Charlie. So things happen in the spiritual realm first. So spiritually, I actually, as crazy as this sounds, I actually see in the spirit realm where this was real. So whatever work they were doing, my sister was able to see that through her dream state, that they were in fact doing some sort of spiritual work. And maybe could it have colluded the energy field to make Charlie Kirk a vibrational match to this? Even though it was a staged event, it could still be staged for everyone else and real for Charlie, right? So that did happen. So there is witchcraft involved in this. And so now when we zone out back to Erika Kirk or Erika Curry, when we zone out, we have to understand that. And I'm not saying that she's a witch, but remember, she is the deep state. She works for the deep state. You don't think they have witches and warlocks on their payroll? All they do is do stuff like that. And remember what I said, Charlie Kirk was in Trump's energy field, making him an energetic match. So how do we know? Now, do I believe it's the Epsi witch? No, I believe they have their own witches and warlocks that they've hired, but it was interesting that that did come up because I do see witchcraft within this. And what the witchcraft was, it was making the energy supple enough for this to happen. And what it was doing was bringing, remember, Charlie into Trump's energy field. Remember, I saw there was manipulation, some sort of energy manipulation to bring Kirk into Trump's energy field, because in truth, this energy, the death energy, was always Trump. It was always Trump. They tried to do it remember when he got his, so to speak, ear shot, they tried to do it then, but maybe now this is the workaround. There's a lot of layers to this, so we want to be open during the psychic investigation, which is still ongoing. So there is some sort of witchcraft energy, and I can vouch for that. But I think it was more of them kind of seasoning the energy fields, right, of the collective, and also to putting certain energetic roadblocks out there into place to make this event possible, because there's a lot of planning that has to do with this staged event, not just how orchestrated it was on the day of the event, but how orchestrated within the spiritual realm, how much work had to be done spiritually in order to set the stage for what we saw to happen. Okay. So another thing that the psychic investigation leads me to, it's very interesting. I'm going to show you this, and I'm not the best, whatever, but this is the automatic writing that I just did a little doodling on Erika Kirk's energy field, right? So here's the thing. This is what I get here. So it's just a massive X's, some X's here and some X's here, right? And so she was to prep and prime the collective heart energy field, right? Through the heartache of this event, right? So we were to watch this through the eyes of a grieving wife. And this was to siphon during the holy harvest that we're getting. They were wanting to siphon that and to take it from the most powerful field in our body, which is our heart field, right? And so this is what her energy does. But I want to point something out to you. I'm going to show it to you up here. So this would be the heart, and there's a huge massive X, right? There's a lot of things kind of going on. Charlie has the same X here. He's in bondage, remember? He has the same X here, down here, anchoring the lower part of his body down in bondage. Her heart takes up a very large part. This X, this energy that she was meant to consume, to kind of as a suction, she was meant to get there, to gather all of this heart energy from the collective, right? Here's another X down here. It's about to get big. I'm just going to show you some things. But now I want to flip this over. And now we notice that we see this is the triangle that popped up in Candace's reading. I want to turn it this way and we get the triangle, like kind of Illuminati, but in this case, Source calls it deep state. We get that same thing that popped up. And this is how I found the entity in the Candace Owens energy field. And it's the same thing. So we have this kind of square here representing Illuminati, deep state, and it's some anchors here. These are contracts that she's taken. She's taken contracts to do this. She's taken contracts. Now, here's the thing, and I know it gets, want to point this out. Now, this is Candace Owens. This is upright. Remember Candace Owens? This is, if you look here, there's a face here, forehead, nose, mouth. It's a very ethnic face. That's Candace Owens. Look, there's a massive X. That's Candace Owens' true self, but there's an X on it as well. But I find it interesting that there's a massive X in Erika's energy field as well. And her and Candace is not on the best of terms because Candace wants to know more of the truth. And Erika, of course, is now suing YouTubers that talk unfavorably about her. And she's accepted the, so to speak, cause of death, right? But that X is showing up. This Candace Owens. There's an X on Candace Owens, in fact. And there's a center X here. Very interesting. But then when we flip the Candace Owens energy over, we get what? The Illuminati energy is always my sign here. The triangle. And look, there's anchors or soul contracts. Same thing. And then here's the entity. When we flip it over, we get some sort of white man here. Nose, mouth, beard. And this energy is siphoning up here into this organization, Illuminati Masonry, I think I called it in Candace's reading, some sort of Mason energy. So the very thing that Candace says she's fighting against, she doesn't understand that whoever she's in bed with, whoever that works with her, there is some sort of collective entity as well that we did find in the energy field, of course, here. And it's whoever she's, the same people she's fighting is the same people that is siphoning her energy back up to the Freemason here. Well, that shows up here when in Erika Curry's or Kirk's, when we flip hers over, now we get those same very similar circles, don't we? Look, same circles. And then we get the square again. So that's that Mason, Illuminati, deep state, contracts. She's in contract with deep state. Candace is in contract with Masons. All of these people they lead back to the same source. She's also in contract with an entity. And like I said before, it could be unbeknownst to her because I had to flip this over. Source wanted to show me something. A lot of the times we can have an entity attachment if we've taken money from someone. That's why even they say, be careful who you eat from, be careful who you take money from. You could be taking blood money. You have no idea. Be careful if you want someone to invest in you. Where did they get their money? Where did they source it from? So it's very interesting, guys, that like Erika and Candace were always going to go head to head. Always. It's showing up in the energy field that even though these two appear to be worlds apart, energetically, they're very similar, or they have themselves in very similar things. Candace may be unbeknownst to her that she's in bed with an entity, but Erika Curry is well aware of it. She's front and center in it, and she's been in it since the age of 14. Okay? And now I want to put together some more codes. It was very interesting in that video. That video, she calls Charlie Kirk Charles. She calls him Charles, because Charles, is another name for Charlie. But I found it interesting that she called him by the name of Charles, in one of the sentences, right? Or lines in her script. And so I looked up Charles, and Charles means free man. Charles means free man. And it's very interesting that this is not a free man. So it's almost like, remember I said she used to play these mind games with Charlie? She'd almost have like a riddle and speak in these rhythmic patterns. I think that is a code of what she's trying to say. She's trying to say, give us a code like free man, but it's the opposite. He's not a free man. He's not a free man. And free man also takes me back to free men. Free men is a group of, so to speak, Black Americans or Black Aboriginals or Black Indians, whatever term you want to call it, that were actually had a free status, right? And these are also children of the Israelites, the lost tribes that are coming back online. So that kind of is very interesting that that term is used, but I think Erika Kirk is using it to almost taunt the situation, because going back to the little game she would play, she's saying free man by calling him Charles, but he's not a free man. He's in bondage. I can't get away from this. We're going to still expand out, and the story's still building, but I was very much connected to this energy of the him in bondage. And with the neck, something happening to the neck. On one level, yes, it's representing for the collective. Stop speaking truth. Her jaws clenching was also the impression I got. Stop speaking this. Don't speak this. Don't channel this, right? On one end, we get that. But on the other end, we get the entrapment, enslavement of the collective, right? As we are literally going from one age that we've been heavily controlled by religion and by the Israel lie. We're breaking out of that now because it's the end of the age. The karmic mirror is showing us where the weak spots are in our collective field. We're breaking out of that. They don't want us to. And the people who get too close to our freedom, they silence them, because the goal is to bring humanity back into this, to anchor us down in bondage, and to, cut off our, ability to speak truth. Because when we cut here in the neck, this is the only thing that keeps Jacob and Esau separate, meaning the Black and the white races and every race in the world, right? So the neck is the thing that conjoins us together. And this is probably why I've been having some thyroid issues as well, because I hold energy in for the collective. That's why I'm saying, guys, please subscribe to the channel and like the video, because my whole body is a channel. And I know what you say, you don't have to be a martyr, and I'm not a martyr, but there's some things that we just have to sacrifice for. And I think that humanity expanding at the end of the age and humanity learning the lessons and the truths, if I got to go through a little thyroid issue for a moment in time, I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it, because we are bringing a lot of truth onto this world. All of what's going on with the Israel lie, we did that on this channel. We sat here since last year. We've been talking about this lie falling down. So energetically, we primed the energy field, and the Charlies of the world and the Kenneses of the world and everyone else who's speaking out. They were able to catch that vibration, the signal that we put out. And it's working. It's working, because this is a thing with, remember, Esau, which is Charlie Kirk, is more the mental plane. And Jacob, which is more the Black race, or Jacob and Esau, is more the emotional plane. The neck, we get the thyroid, the thalamus even is coming up. That esophagus, channeling that. I think that comes from the mouth down through the throat into the stomach. All of these things that are coming up are talking about the conjoining the two houses together of Jacob and Esau, coming back into wholeness and oneness. They don't want that. And that's why they have to incite these racial incidents all over. And now they got a lot of, copycat Charlies out there. And these men, I'm telling you, they got to stop this, because Charlie had a whole empire behind him to protect themselves. These people don't. They're just out there winging it. And it's dangerous. It's a dangerous environment right now because everybody's sensitive, you know? It's not time to be out there on either side doing any of this stuff, right? Because it's the harvest. Where's your heart? And they know it's the harvest. And thank you, Source. Source is saying, here's the thing, they can't technically take your harvest, your latter rains, but they can trick you into handing it over. That's what they want to do to us. They want to get us divided into these polarities to now trick us into energetically not being a energetic match to the latter rains that's coming down from the holy wars, right? From everything that has been withheld from you over the past age, all of that stuff is getting released back to you, right? But they want to fool you, get you into the polarity system of black and white again, and all of this stuff, so they can continue to siphon. Erika Curry is part of this grand siphon energy. All of this, guys, when we zone out, is attached to an entity, and it's a collective entity that we find in all of these different religions have an entity attached to them. And I'm so sorry that I have to say this, but I'm not sorry, because you have to know this. All of my work and findings have led me to this, that there is a God that people think they're praying to, but it's not God, not source energy, God, the most high, the beginning, the alpha and the omega. It's not that, because that doesn't need anything, because it always was and is pure source consciousness. Muslim, Catholic, Judaism, Christian, they all have a common thread, which is an entity. It's a deity. It's not a God. It's a deity that works through these religions, that works through the Masons, the Scottish Rites, the deep state, you know, as it pops up in Erika's, you know, reading. All of this is all the same. This entity is attached to all of these things. And then the one thing that they need to siphon is they need your agreement. They need your energy to do it. So they trick you into watering the seeds that they lay down with your energetic currency, with your spirit consciousness. Spirit consciousness comes from source. Everyone has a spirit. Everyone may not have a soul, but not everyone has spirit consciousness. Spirit consciousness is attached to the divine mother wisdom, mother source. Not everyone has that. When you give it your emotions as a cellular being that you are, the being from the cosmic sphere, that's the ingredient that they don't have. They don't possess it. That's your energetic signature that you just signed off for them to have your blessings. This is what Source is saying. We pay them dust. Like, you know, some people say we pay them dust. We don't give them our energy, right? So that's the component. Just know that that's what they use. But this is very important. These X's, right, represent not only captivity, but also the new financial system. Because remember, everything's the polarity. We have to shut down the government. We have to, literally, like I said, there's two elite classes fighting. Who's going to control humanity during the new age, where this new age is all about the inner wisdom, the inner God, the inner man, the inner knowing, the inner standing, right? The inner wisdom, the ascension. Everything is within. So that's why I said, you know, zoning out, I see Charlie Kirk's consciousness going into a leader. And it feels as if it's going to be some sort of civil rights activist. It feels like it could be a Black leader, so to speak. And because, you know, Black people are known to be very conscious, and because it's all about the inner. So within the new vibration, you will need probably someone who works on inner wisdom, inner consciousness, inner God, right? To line up with the aspect of creation that humanity is collectively in. I hope that makes sense. So whether he's going there willfully, whether his consciousness is willfully going into the next avatar, or whether if it's still in bondage and he's being forced to, which, I strongly resonate with this. Although this is collective, this is still, I very strongly resonate. I'm not going to call it yet, but feels in bondage. He feels in bondage still. He does. And I remember a source saying this, that we've been poisoned to be here in the matrix. And we've been poisoned by what? Our lack of consciousness. Sometimes our lack of consciousness won't look like we're a dumb person. It'll be the opposite. Sometimes it's like we know so much that we're not open to knowing anything outside of what we already know, therefore leading us back to the other side of the pendulum swing, back to a lack of consciousness. Too much consciousness is not balanced, leads us back to the opposite polarity for us to experience that within its totality in order to come back in the center to transcend the duality focal point. This is kind of what I'm getting with Charlie and with the greater humanity. We got to get centered. We got to get out of all these boxes and labels and titles and Republican and Democrat and the Israel versus, pro-Israel versus whatever, pro-Palestine. Palestine. I almost said Palantir girl, and that's probably a whole nother channel, right? So that's how we break their chains that's on our collective neck. So make no mistake about it, big picture. Of course, we got to do more of this, but there is a very interesting connection between Candace Owens' energy and Erika Curry energy. And to be honest with you, the only person I see feeble, yeah, you know what I'm saying, in bondage is Charlie. That's it. He's the only person I see. Candace kind of is in bondage. Her true self is shut down with the massive X. This could be also part of the energy field that, Erika Kirk was cultivating as well to siphon from the heart. That we need to explore more because there's a lot of depth to this and a lot of different layers to this. But make no mistake about it, what I have so far is that Erika's been doing this. She's been in contract with, the deep state since the age of 14. When she signed her first soul contract. These are not contracts. When these people get contracts and donations and all of that, make no mistake about it, they wrap themselves up into soul contracts. That's what it is, whether they know it or not. And I think Candace has herself in some heavy soul contracts. And this is why I feel they are shifting and turning on her. It's like I said, it's at the end of the stage play. It's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory movie, which I watched on Netflix last week. All those kids didn't make it. They didn't get the prize at the end because they were all being greedy or gluttony. The 7 deadly sins is what causes the attachment. Right? And sometimes our eyes are bigger than our stomach. So is what I'm saying is you can totally get into these soul contracts through one of those 7 deadly sins. And sometimes it may look like ambition, right? But if the ambition is unbalanced, then what? Then it leads to the negative polarity of that. And that's when you get what? The brother thorn energy, the Satan energy. So you can experience that. And then somehow the experience of the negative vibration eventually will coast you into transcendence, into the duality focal point, into the middle, eventually, whether it's this life or a future lifetime or timeline, right? Follow the yellow book road. Follow the yellow brick road. That's coming up, the Wizard of Oz. So this is a Wizard of Oz situation too. Remember at the end, Wizard of Oz was like supposed to be like almost like the god, this big voice coming from the beyonds, right? But at the end, it's just a little small man standing on a soapbox with a megaphone. This is what we have in this whole situation. And if we could zone out to the possibility that this entity, collective entity, which I see it being attached to religion. So if you've ever accepted some of these religions within your heart, that's where I'm getting this X to. So this is Erika Curry or Erika Kirk. This also too right now, I'm channeling this. This X, if you've accepted these religions in your heart, then that Wizard of Oz God, the fake God, these are what they hook in. They hook in because you accept it. So what? Your spirit consciousness, your emotions say yes, have your way with me. When you were already free and sovereign, you already had God because you're born with it. And so, what did I say in the last video that God is, and then I'm also getting Gad. I think there's something interesting with the house of Gad, the Israelite tribes of Gad, I think are coming back together. Who is the tribe of Gad? Don't want to get me. There's so many codes from Erika we're about to get. It's a whole spiritual rabbit hole that we're about to go into. Okay. Um I'm not sure if these are people in the Caribbeans. I'll have to do research on it, but I think that there's some people, whoever is the House of Gad. I don't know if that's Caribbean or if that's more of like the people in the west, like goodness, I can't think right now. There's some others. So as of the so to speak, Black Americans are right, the tribe of Judah, right? But Gad is coming back online. All these other tribes of Israel are starting to come back online now that the Israelites being debunked more and more every day. So I don't know. That's a sidebar, but Gad is coming online. They're going to come into the awareness. They might even get global recognition as well, with themselves being one of the lost tribes of Israel. I could totally be off about the location, but that's coming online as well. It could be Ethiopia. I'm not sure. I'll get back to you on that. Um, that's a sidebar. I need to. No, this is important. This is important. This is important. See, these are the source codes. You say energy, you feel. You feel, no, stay right here. This is a code. We're going to open up that DNA. That's what we're doing here. We're opening up the DNA. Tribe of Gad, characteristics, exceptional warrior-like qualities, known for their courage, strength, and swiftness in battle, much like a lion. Interesting. Very interesting. Hmm. This is interesting. Hold on, I'm reading some more things. Skilled warfare. They were proficient in shields, bucklers, bows, constant engagement that made them skilled in battle tactics. This is what she was using. Remember when I said in the beginning how she had this sort of, remember she said battle cry? Remember in her speech, she was talking about a battle cry, the voice or something of the tears of this widow is going to echo like a battle cry. You remember that? This is what's leading me. This is some Gad energy that, y'all, hold on. So remember I said they trained her in some sort of mind control combat? This is what coming through. The source codes are coming through that all of these houses of Israel they play a significant character role. into how humanity is to uphold itself in certain situations. So the Gad tribe were exceptional warrior like. They were skilled in this, much like a lion. What does a lion do? A lion watches their prey. Remember I said she knew she was going to be with Charlie since she way before. Way before. And it's interesting too cuz she's a lot older than him, and that's very interesting cuz he would have been a child. She knew this before. That's a whole nother, I'm not getting into that. That's a whole nother thing. Because remember, I said she signed up for this at the age of 14. If she's 5 years older than him, he would have been 9 years old. Now, I'm not saying she knew it would be Charlie per se at the age of 14, but nevertheless, she knew before she met him of what the plan was. So, Charlie, she was always a lion. She was always had this Gad energy. She was trained to have this. That was part of the mind control training. So maybe this is something we have to do as humanity. We need to get the characteristics of each tribe, and we need to like really know that, because I think they're using these things against us. That's a sidebar, but it ain't a sidebar because it came up here. Okay. So there's a lot more to say, guys, but there's a lot of foul play. 10,000 may fall at your left side, 1,000 at your right, but it will not come for you. Only you will look with your eyes and see the reward for the wicked, because you have made the Most High. Okay. You have that scripture's coming through. It's interesting. Some of these scriptures, guys, they use as a salutation to their God. Don't think these people are praying to the God that most people are praying to. Most people are praying to an entity they don't know, but there's layers to it. These people, that scripture, is that Psalms 91? I'm not sure, but they use that as a salutation to their God, to their dark lord. So as they're saying, hey, it doesn't matter what's going on. 10,000 can fall on your left side, or, 1,000 on your right, but it's not going to come for us. They say that to escape their karma. So that's what I'm saying. The Bible is one of the greatest books ever written, but it's make no mistake, it's written by people that are Masons, that are in these secret societies. They've always run this world. Who do you think wrote the book? But there's codes in there and messages. And I just figured out one of their codes. That scripture is a salutation to their God. So when they cause all the ruckus on the world, they're saying it doesn't matter who falls. 10,000 can fall over here and 1,000 over here, but it's not going to come for me, because I tricked you. I got you to water it. I got you to agree to giving me over your spoils, or what it was that source divine naturally has for you. Right now my tongue is going numb. Mm-hmm. They don't want me saying this. They don't want me saying it. Yep. We're breaking all their codes. Thank you, Erika. Thank you. And there's so much more to get into, guys. A lot more to get into. But these are some of their secrets. So just know the very Bible we're using, they're still using it, but they're using it for darkness. Some of these scriptures were made for darkness, and we just turned them into light. We alchemized them, So there's a lot more to go over, but I think I'm going to leave this here. But we really got to dig next video. We got to dig into Candace Owens, and because I think that this energy, I think that Erika is part of the energy that is keeping Candace Owens' true self not connected. That's a whole nother thing, that massive X showing up. massive X, anchoring humanity's heart space down for the grand siphon. Charlie had the X around the neck where the wound is, and also telling us, let's keep Jacob and Esau divided. Let's allow the chicken with the head cut off, so to speak, never reaching oneness. And then also to stop talking, humanity. Stop it, stop it, stop it. And in fact, we're at the end of the age. We want to put new shackles around your neck. And the new shackles will come with new agendas. It will come with a new financial system. It will be good at first, but of course, it will always be a shackle because that's all they know is shackles. Don't trust anyone in this final season. Someone said, how do I know I can trust you in the comments? Because some people are saying that he died and you're saying that he didn't, or you know, there's something around it. And I say to that, do not trust anyone. I'm not here for you to trust me. I don't need you to trust me. I need you to trust yourself. What happens in a jury? The jury doesn't have to prove, the jury just has to what? Present evidence so that it can create doubt, or it doesn't create doubt. The evidence makes doubt in your mind so that you now can expand within self, within your own heart field, and source out the truth for yourself. That's why I'm here, for you to source it out. Shouldn't be believing anyone in this season. Believe in source. Believe in source. Okay? My tongue is numb. Is the tongue connected to the esophagus, guys? Tongue. Is the tongue connected to the esophagus? It isn't directly to the esophagus, but rather pushes food, okay, into the pharynx. Muscle tube connects to the back of the mouth. During swallowing, the tongue involuntarily moves food to the pharynx, which triggers involuntary reflex that directs the food into the esophagus away from the windpipe. Interesting. If they cut your tongue off, right, you can't talk anymore. Remember last year I said it was the energy surrounding this Trump presidency, which wouldn't be a full Trump presidency. I said it always. I said what you're going to experience is America's daughter. It was going to be as if Trump and Kamala had a baby, and this would be the presidency you would experience. And this is the presidency we are experiencing, because there's a lot of people on the right who are not liking so much of what Trump is doing. And then there's a lot of people on the left that, you know, it's kind of like we're still kind of getting some of the stuff that we thought Kamala would put into place, and vice versa. So no one won. We got a mixture of the two. We got an admixture. And it was always giving the energy of see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. That's what I said. And very much so with everyone, you know, all these rights getting stripped away. We're kind of in that energy where they want you deaf, blind, and not talking, right? And so my tongue is numbing up, you know, right now. And interesting, the tongue, so swallowing, so it's still part of the throat, really. There's so much more. We'll get into that. There's a lot going on, but it's all about cutting off our connection here to keep us disconnected so that we move into the new age fragmented. And I've been talking about this for a while. We have to fix the fragmentation. You got to come out of these religions. You got to come out of being racist and prejudice and classes and all of that, because source or the codes will have a way of equalizing. There could be a mass destruction here on this world. It will be the great equalizer. COVID was a great equalizer as well. The people who are up can easily be down tomorrow. The people that are down tomorrow can easily be up. There's a great equalizer energy that will come through for this karmic retribution, right? So we have, all of humanity, we have an invested interest in coming back together. Just know that. I want to say that. And I think I'm going to leave this video here, but we need to continue on with the psychic investigation because it's just about to get juicy. Okay. Okay, I'm in the comments. Okay, so Sonia, she also's been linked to the energy of Esther in the Bible. Okay, so people are talking. Okay. Hi Sean. Eclipse. Low sound? What? My sound is low? Okay, I'm in the Okay. Okay, I just checked. Okay, someone said someone said bullshit. Yeah, I wish it was. Um, I really do hope so, but Spirit just never lied. I mean, you can't even make this up. How many weeks have we been doing this? You just can't make it up. Um, someone says for me, her name, AIM, Erika, Kirk, church. Yeah, Kirk means church. Yep. Remember I said that's the end of church, end of religion. It feels like deception of church. Church and state as well. Deception of church and state. Church and state have never been separate. I'm getting that. They've always been one. I think what we might get is actual separation between church and state. It's supposed to be like that already, right? But energetically, it hasn't been. It's been one cluster ball of energy. Okay, thank you, Gail. And Charlie Broken Chain signed for a slave forbidden to speak during the stage false attempt. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Manula Day Writer, thank you very much. That's very beautiful. Yeah, see, you're putting together the source codes. Okay, guys, well, send here. And like I said, this is psychic investigation expands multiple videos. And this is the first day really, the energy field of Erica Kirk started to open up. This is called the cosmic time clock, by the way. Cosmic time clock says we don't just go foolishly. We wait for the energy to shift. So I waited for the energy to come to me and open up. And now this is what I see. So you don't have to go looking. If you just wait, energy is flowy. Energy circulates. If you just wait enough time, the energy will come to you because she has to expose herself. That's why she's saying she's suing all these YouTubers. Her energy came here. I got clenching in the jaw. I got some pains, impressions in my body. Her energy was called here into this investigation because I already put the energy out that I was to investigate what happened on a spiritual psychic level. So she had to eventually show up here, and she did. And we will continue to work with this energy to see all of what it is that she has to say. This is only the first video getting to the Erika Kirk energy, but it is definitely a very colluded field. And I think this is going to take us to some more heavy codes within religion, within the Bible to crack. Okay. I love you guys so much. The birds, the bees, and yes, all of the beautiful trees, they all love you too. Love is the way. Forgiveness, it is the key. And truth is the light that will always, always guide us home. Be well, guys. Subscribe to the channel and like the video. I love you guys so much. Bye.